Hi, everyone. How's it going? Everyone doing well? Fan-flippin-tastic? Having a great Sunday? I know that I sure am. Boy, I tell you what. Yeah, Nate. I saw that big thumbs up in the back. Well, I'm so glad you're here. If you haven't been here before, my name is Aaron, and this is Joy Church. And I always make a joke about something that's been scientifically proven, but I didn't think of one. So Joy Church is the only church that's scientifically proven to be scientifically proven. So there you have it. That's for you, Nate and Joe. Almost called you Note and Jay. Got your names mixed up. Well, hopefully you guys all saw that Joy Group's announcement. Joy Groups are going to be launching the first part of February, and we are super excited about them. We've got some really, really fun groups that are happening. Those are just some of them, but if you go to the website and check out some of the other groups that are starting, they're going to be really fun. Some of them are much more oriented so that if you've only been here a couple times, or maybe it's your first time today, or maybe you don't really know anyone all that well, and it's a little bit intimidating to jump into a group where you think someone's going to be like, hey, why don't you sing us a solo? Why don't you try some interpretive dancing? First of all, that doesn't happen at any of the groups, but maybe if that's your fear, a lot of our groups are really structured around fellowship and just hanging out and being together and making it a really easy place to meet people, a really natural place for that to happen. And so if you're interested in groups, check out the website, joygrantspass.com. You can go to the groups page and it shows them all and has all their information there. I think out on the info center, we've got some pamphlets that have information about who has groups, what they're like, who's running them, what time they are, what location they are. So check that out. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. We moved into a house about almost a year ago. It'll be a year in May. We actually got it in March. And we knocked down a bunch of trees on the property, and they've been sitting in this big pile for almost a year. Anyone ever have a pile of stuff that you just have a hard time getting to? You're all like, I'm hearing an awful lot of grunting from this area, a lot of snorting and laughter. It sounds like you have quite a few piles that you've got to get to. For different people, it's different things, right? Sometimes it's laundry. You're like, you bring a load of laundry and you're like, I'll get to that today or tomorrow or next year, and then you wear the entire pile of laundry and it goes back out in to be laundered again before you've actually folded it and put it away. But yard debris can be that same kind of thing. And so we've had these pile of wood that we've been meaning to chop up. And so I bought myself an axe, a splitting maul, feeling tough. And as a good dad and as a guy who really values, macho man kind of things, I got my boys a couple of axes too. Why don't you go ahead and throw this? There you go. See those axes there? Yeah, those things are brand new, ready to slice and dice. Now, there was a hilarious conversation that happened, and you can imagine, right? You come home, boys, come in here. I got you some weapons. I got you some tools. We got some axes so that we can split some wood so we can survive. We're like men. We're like Bear Grylls, right? And so as a dad, you come in and you give them these deadly weapons. And the first thing that's on my mind, what I'm concerned about as a good dad, hopefully a good dad, is I'm really concerned about safety, right? But when you put an axe into the hand of a small child and a teenager, they're not as concerned about safety as you are, right? So I go, okay, boys, listen up. This is very important to me, right? You look me in the eyes, you they have the axe in their hand. Listen up, you guys, pay attention, look in my eyes. You must be careful. This is, you cannot slip up one time. You have to be aware of your surroundings. You can't just be waving these things around willy-nilly, right? And this is the one thing that I'm serious about and the one thing that's on my mind. But what's the one thing that's on their mind? I just want to swing this thing. I just want to chop something. I want to destroy. As soon as these things are in my hand, it's give me something to chop. I don't care about my fingers. I don't care about other people's knees. I don't care about anything. All I want to do is swing this blade in the direction of something that it can destroy. How many of you men are out there yep, sign me up for that. I just want, let's swing something sharp at something else. It doesn't really matter what it is. And it's so funny, this dichotomy to me, because of the series that we're in. I have this, okay, listen, there's one thing in my mind that is important. And they're looking at me like vibrating. There's one thing in their mind that is important, and that's not the same thing. In fact, it might be diametrically opposed. It might be the most opposite thing. I'm thinking safety, preserve your digits. And they're thinking, just let me whack something with this new axe, right? And it ties into this series because they are just buzzing, vibrating, just jonesing to like, okay, give me the thing and let me go on to the next thing. And this is the kind of series, if you haven't been here, it's called Hurry Up and Wait. It's talking about eliminating hurry from your life. And I think oftentimes God has some really great solutions for us. He has a way that he wants for us to live. He has things he wants us to be careful about, things to avoid, and still we can be the ones, I just need to destroy something. And God is like, whoa, 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 whoa. There's something else that I want you to be thinking about. This played out. There's a popular pastor by the name of John Ortberg. I don't know if any of you have heard of him. He's actually a pretty well-known fella. Pastors a successful church, and he was working at one of the most influential churches in America in it's called Willow Creek, and they're out of the Chicago area, Bill Hybels, and just a massive, humongous church doing all sorts of stuff. And he was like kind of going under. He was just so hurried. There was so much going on in his life. The pace of life was so frenetic that he called his, at that time, mentor, a guy by the name of Dallas Willard, who maybe some of you have heard of, his job was a philosopher at a university. I can't remember which one. But he was also a theologian and just an incredibly wise, brilliant man. And John Ortberg called him up one day because he was I don't think he was doing anything necessarily bad or immoral or sinful. It's just his life was going at such a pace. And some of you are like, okay, working at a church, how busy could you possibly be? They've done studies, and they say that pastors are typically up there with lawyers and doctors when it comes to busyness, when it comes to hurry. So he calls Dallas Willard, and he goes, Dallas, what do I have to do in order to be the real me? What do I have to do to become the real me? How many of you think that's a pretty good question to ask from time to time? So how many of you have wondered that from time to time? If we just stopped the whole sermon right now, and we just thought about going to the wisest, most successful, most put together person that we know and asking them, what should I do in order to become the real me? We would probably be a lot better off in life. Do you know what Dallas Willard responded? He said, you must eliminate hurry. That's kind of where this concept is coming from, the concept behind this sermon series. What do I have to do to become the real me? There's only one thing you have to do. You have to eliminate hurry from your life in all forms. And John Ortberg was the kid with the axe. Okay, eliminate hurry. And so his next question was, okay, what else? Cool, I'll jot that down. Now what else do I do? Like, give me the rest of the list. And Dallas Willard responded, that's it. There is no rest of the list. There is no 2, 3, and 4, and on and on and on to become the you that you're supposed to be. Eliminating hurry, that's all of it. That's where it all starts. That's where it all comes from. If you don't get that one down, and he wanted to just zoom right past that one. And the reason I'm telling you this is because I think when we're talking about a subject like this, it's easy to hear it and go, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then boom, hurry right on past it. And just catch up with the rest of the week and catch up with our schedule and catch up with everything that's going on. And by the time maybe you come back to church on Sunday, you're like, oh, shoot, we're in this series about getting hurry out of our lives. Ooh, I forgot to think about that all week. We're like the kids with the axe. I just wanted to destroy something. Eliminate hurry. Eliminate hurry. What is hurry? The definition, you probably know this, is to move or act with great haste. I think we've all experienced that. But the etymology, the history of the word, where it actually comes from in its original language means to buzz or vibrate rapidly, to be under pressure, to be acting in undue haste. There's a negative connotation. Where the way that the word was actually built originally, it didn't just mean to go fast. It meant something is wrong. And I think oftentimes we lose that part of that word when we're in a hurry, when our life is so busy that we feel like we can never actually find real rest. Hurry. Something is It's under pressure. Something's got to give. Something's going to blow. Something is wrong here. And this is actually true to the degree that various psychologists have invented a phrase called hurry sickness. We talked a little bit about this. I just want to cover it today and reference it to keep it at the forefront of our minds, because this is the kind of thing it is easy to forget about. Because almost everything in culture, almost everything just out there in the world, even good things that are happening, can cause you and I to hurry to the degree that we forget to invest in the most important parts of our lives, whether it's our kids, whether it's our marriage, whether it's our church, whatever it happens to be. It's easy to get into this state. And so this is the definition of hurry sickness that various psychologists have put together. It's a behavior pattern characterized by continual rushing and anxiousness. Just be honest and if that's you, just say, yeah, I've experienced that. It's a behavior pattern where you just feel behind to the degree that you don't even remember the last time that you were caught up. You don't even remember it. You don't even know what it would feel like to be caught up with all the obligations that you have in your life. Your life is characterized by this kind of low-grade, simmering anxiousness. And it's not like a mystery. It's not a surprise that so many people today struggle with anxiety, anxiousness. The word anxious, the etymology, the history of the word actually means to choke. You feel like you just can't get your head above water. You can't take a breath. You can't slow down. You can't recenter, reorient. You can't get your life, okay, these are just the things I'm going to do, and I'm going to say no to everything else. That just typifies a lot of our lives. It's just we're spun out. We're going too fast. We're taking on too much, so much so that we can't quite get all of it done. Another description is a malaise or a disease or a sickness in which a person feels chronically short of time. Anyone? Don't even raise your hand. You know that's the truth. You feel chronically short of time. And so you tend to perform every task faster and to get flustered when encountering any kind of delay. Yeah, there's a woo. You feel like you have too much on your plate. And it's just a normal human trap that we go, I have so much on my plate, it means that I need to go faster so that I can accomplish all these tasks, rather than just going, man, there's too much on my plate. I'm going to take it off the plate. Right? It's this sickness, this malaise where you just chronically feel like, oh my gosh, I can't keep up. And so the second description here, it says that you get frustrated when anything slows you down just a little bit. I'm not going to ask for a raise of hands because I could point a bunch of you out. And I could point myself out because I'm just as guilty as anybody in the room of getting frustrated when things get in the way. They get in the way of my job. They get in the way of this. I'm trying to do this. And why is this person driving so slow? Don't you know this is the fast lane? It's not the passing lane. It's the fast lane. Everybody knows that. You're counting cars when you come up to the red light. Like, oh, there's two there. Oh, there's only one there. You know, cut somebody off to get over there because you gotta like, first of all, like just, you don't save time doing that. Like, but we all do it. You're like, yeah, I'll endanger this little granny's life. I'll cut her off so I can sneak in front of whatever. Like, it's just anything that trips us up the tiniest bit. This happened to me. I have an uncle. I'm not going to say his name lest he watch this at some point and be offended that I'm using this as an example, but I was a kid. I was in the back of the van, and some elderly lady just makes a normal turn into a driveway, and he was so mad that he got slowed down. He just, boom, give her the finger. He screams a cuss word. I mean, he's like leaning out of his chair, and I was sitting in the back like, I'm a child. And even I know this is across the line. This is just, something is going on here. This is not normal behavior. But some of you are like, oh man, I do that every day. Shoot. It's common. It's common. It's almost rewarded just in regular society to take on so much, to feel like we have to take on so many things that we'll never, ever catch up and actually get them done and live a healthy pace. Does anyone feel like that? Get any amen or buy-in, or am I just you guys like, if you have it all figured out, shoot, man, I need to just go preach to myself. Because I feel like this all the time. And sometimes it's hard to even recognize. A couple of weeks ago, we went over a quiz, and You can go back online and catch up with that if you want. It was 10 kind of descriptors, 10 ways that you could determine whether or not you suffer from hurry sickness. And it's restlessness and anxiousness and all these kinds of things that most of us are like, yep, that's me. And you find out, wow, man, maybe I'm a little bit more hurried than I thought I was. And I didn't realize it. It's a big problem. And that's why we're spending time going over the problem. We've been talking about it for a few weeks, because oftentimes it just takes that long looking at it and self-assessing and kind of measuring if that's the place that we're at. And so next week we're going to talk a little bit more about kind of our digital consumption and entertainment and things like that. And then the following week we're going to start looking at the solution. And there's 4 major kind of ideas that we're drawing from this book that the author, John Mark Comer, kind of spells out as a solution to a hurried life. And it's Sabbath, it's solitude, it's silence. It's a few things that really, if you build into your life as a discipline, you'll find out that the things that matter to you, the things that are important to you, get their proper investment. They get their proper perspective. So, hurry. It's dangerous. Corrie ten Boom, some of you may be familiar with Corrie ten Boom, said this: if the devil can't make you sin, he'll make you busy. Karl Yune, the psychologist, well-known guy, he said, hurry isn't of the devil, hurry is the devil. And Dallas Willard, who we just referenced at the beginning of this, when he was talking to John Ortberg, when he said that you must eliminate hurry from your life, he said it this way: you must ruthlessly eliminate hurry from your life. When you say the word ruthless, it means you have no pity, no compassion. You don't feel empathy towards another person. When someone is ruthless, it describes the way that they are. You get a picture of a way a person is. They are take no prisoners. They will do what they've got to do. They will hurt you, kill you, take your stuff, whatever, and they won't even feel bad about it. They won't even lose sleep about it, right? Some of you guys are like, yeah, I know someone like you, like elbowing your neighbor. Yeah, talking about you. Ruthlessly eliminating hurry means that you are the type of person that will attack hurry, that will attack undue haste, that will attack busyness in your own life to the degree that you are just an absolute savage about it. And this is what Dallas Willard said. This is the one thing you have to do if you want to become the real you. You must ruthlessly eliminate hurry. It's not something that you can just kind of play around with and kind of in passing try to make a difference. And here's the main point that I'm trying to bring up today. You will eliminate hurry from your life, or it will eliminate everything good in your life. You'll either take the steps, gain the knowledge, change your habits, change your routines, open up the hood of your life and look around and see what's going on in there and find a way to ruthlessly eliminate it, or it will eliminate the good things in your life. Hurry does that. We had a quote, I don't have it right now, from John Mark, the author of a book that we're drawing a lot of this from. It's called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, and he just said hurry kills love. It kills relationships. Love operates at a certain speed, and a hurried life does not have time for that speed. And we know that that's true. We know that that's true. The Bible agrees. Listen to Luke chapter 10. And some of you probably know this story, but I think that it illustrates what we're talking about so well. Luke chapter 10, verse 38 says, as Jesus and the disciples continued on their way to Jerusalem, they came to a certain village where a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. Her sister, Mary, sat at the Lord's feet listening to what he taught, but Martha was distracted by the big dinner she was preparing. She came to Jesus and said, Lord, doesn't it seem unfair to you that my sister just sits here while I do all the work? Tell her to come and help me. I'm just going to be honest with you. If this was the situation with me and I was Martha and I was putting out this big meal and someone else was just sitting there like a lazy bum, I would say the same thing. Anyone want to be honest and just say, yeah, that's what I would do too. Hello? Do you see this big dinner? Oh, I noticed that you're tasting it. Oh, quite delicious, isn't it? Yeah, I worked very hard to put it out while you were sitting on your butt, doing nothing, just chatting it up with Jesus. Hope you enjoyed yourself. Oh, man. Have some more. Let me get it for you. Don't get up. Allow me, sister. She's talking to Jesus. Tell her to get up and help me. But the Lord said to her, my dear Martha. Oh, man. If God puts a dear in front of your name, you're busted and you know it. My dear Aaron. Oh, no. My dear Martha, you are worried and upset over all these details. There's only one thing worth being concerned about. Mary has discovered it, and it will not be taken away from her. Ooh. In your life, there's probably one thing, or just a couple of things, that at the end of your life, you're really going to be like, I wish I would have just put everything I had into these few areas. But it seemed like details crowded in, and they crowded all that out, and it became marginalized. It became pushed to the side. And here I am down the road, maybe at the end of my life or later on in my years, and I can look back and say, why on earth did I let all these details distract when the things that I really cared about were right in front of me? And Jesus just calls her out. And you would think that Jesus would say something other than this, but he doesn't. He just says, Martha, cool your jets. You should probably be sitting down here too, instead of running around freaking out. So a couple things happen in this story. A few things. And people dig all sorts of lessons out of this, all sorts of different kind of ideas and principles and whatever. And that's great. But we're going to look at it just really briefly and just kind of strategically here, and not a way that we're trying to dig out something that's not there. Number one, in this story, Martha made an assumption, or several assumptions, right? She figured she was right. She figured that what she was doing was the most important thing. Oh my gosh, Jesus is coming over. We have to put something out. How many of you have had company surprise you before and you go, oh my gosh, someone's going to be here in half an hour. Kids, get up. We've got to get this pigsty clean. We've got to get this place gone through. Oh my word. I don't care what you're doing. I don't care that you're half dressed. Get out here. We have to get this place cleaned up. And your kids are like, oh my gosh. Micah, don't even say a thing. You just, house is always completely spotless. Never gone through that before. Total lie. She goes, man, something's happening. Company is coming over. We've got to get this place spruced up. We got to get some food on. We got to get ready. Not only just company, but Jesus. Somebody important is coming. We have to get all of these details sorted out because he's coming, and we've got to make sure that this place is tip-top, ship-shape. And obviously, this stuff needs to get done. Obviously, this stuff needs to get taken care of. She made an assumption about what the most important thing was, and that assumption was wrong. And sometimes our assumptions about what the most important things are is wrong. Sometimes we make assumptions. You know that she made an assumption because she told Jesus to correct someone. Jesus, make her think more like I think. She wouldn't say that to Jesus unless she made an assumption that she was right, that these details were worth obsessing over. This happens to us. Listen to what Michael Zigarelli, which is a really fun name to say. He's from the Charleston Southern University School of Business, and he had this to say about making assumptions. It says, it may be the case that, one, Christians are assimilating to a culture of busyness. Is this up here? Yeah. Assimilating to a culture of busyness, hurry, and overload, which leads to, two, God becoming more marginalized, more pushed off to the side in Christians' lives, which leads to, three, a deteriorating relationship with God, which leads to 4, Christians becoming even more vulnerable to adopting secular assumptions. There's that word. Secular assumptions. It's an assumption that is not based on the Christian walk. It's an assumption, something that you predetermine to be true without even thinking about it, that comes from secular culture. It doesn't come from the Bible. It doesn't come from God. It doesn't come from prayer. It comes from just an assumption like Martha made. And oftentimes it's wrong and we don't even notice it. Adopting secular assumptions about how to live, which leads to 5, more conformity to a culture of busyness, hurry, and overload, and then the cycle begins again. And that's the problem. Oftentimes we make assumptions about details that really are unimportant, that we should just say no to, that we should just know what to do, but we have become so soaked in a culture where it is normal to be overloaded, to be busy, to have noise, to have input, to have social media, to have entertainment, to have whatever coming into our brain and our eyes and our ears 24/7. It's become so normal that to do anything besides that is weird. And that's the problem that he's pointing out. We've accepted some secular assumptions about how to live because of a certain pace, and because we've assumed the wrong thing, it's actually causing us to even get worse. It's a downward spiral. Martha did this, and so do we oftentimes. Number 2, Martha blamed others instead of herself. Martha blamed Mary to Jesus. Like, hello, do you see this? Do you see what's going on here? And the funny thing is she blamed the person who was doing something right. And this is easy to do. I know that it's easy to do because I've done it. So have you. You look at somebody maybe and they have something you want, and they have a relationship that you want, or they have the career or the money or the kids or the whatever it is. Oh, they just got lucky. Oh, yeah, there's entire political movements that want to take away the good things that other people have produced and give them to others who have not produced because it's not fair for them to have them. But I think that we do this. It's easy to blame others. It's easy to go, well, I don't have something that I want, and they do, and so they must be doing something wrong. They must be conniving. They must be manipulating. They must be getting it in some way, in some nefarious means, and it's not the case. That's why it takes humility and honesty on our part to look at our own selves and ask the question, am I suffering from hurry sickness? Am I going too fast to give proper attention to the things that matter? Which leads into the third point. Martha neglected the best part. And Jesus just called her out on this. In verse 41, he said, "My dear Martha, you're worried and you're upset over all these details. And you might be worried and upset. Worried. Scared about the future. Scared about your security. Scared about your stuff. Scared about your money. Scared about a relationship. Whatever. Worried. Scared. Nervous about little details. But then he brings it home. He says there's only one thing worth being concerned about. You have too much on your plate, Martha. You're thinking about too many things. Mary has found it. She's discovered it. She's sitting at my feet and she's talking and she's learning from me. And that's not going to be taken away from her. And that needs to be us. That's where the solution to all of this lies. That's what we're going to be talking about for the next month or so to come. Our key verse for this whole subject comes out of Matthew, chapter 11, verse 28. It says, Jesus said, "Come to me, all of you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I'll give you rest. Take my yoke upon you. Let me teach you, because I'm humble. I'm gentle at heart, and you'll find rest for your soul. For my yoke is easy to bear, and the burden I give you is light." Seems counterintuitive to me when you're carrying burdens and you've been carrying baggage and you've been doing too much to come to Jesus and be like, okay, I'm here for the solution. He's like, here's the solution. I'm going to put another burden on you. Like, wow, thanks. I'm already carrying a bunch of burdens, actually. I've actually got too many. That's why I came to you in the first place. The difference is that to take on Jesus' burden, you actually have to take off a lot of the ones that you've been carrying. There's all kinds of reasons that we carry burdens. There's all kinds of reasons that we carry baggage. But Jesus says the first order of business, if you want rest, not just rest for your body or rest for your mind, rest for your soul, the kind of rest that actually causes you to be energized and to want to go into life and just live it to the fullest. That kind of rest only comes from coming to me and taking on my burden. It's actually easy and it's light, but you won't know that unless you come to me and try it on. Jesus didn't give like a certain set of rules. He didn't go, do this with your time and do this with your schedule and, blah, blah, blah. And here's 10 tips and life hacks and whatever. You know what Jesus said to people? When people were interested in Jesus and he came close, he just said, follow me. You want to know what it's like to live the God life? Just follow me. Just drop everything you're doing and just walk along with me. Become my disciple. And they say an even better translation of that might be, become my apprentice. Follow me. I don't need to give you 45 lists of what to do. Just follow me, listen to me, and just whatever I do, you just do it like that. And I think our modern mindset, whatever it is, we want information. God, give me all this information. And I think God is just like, listen, just follow. Just stay close enough to me that you can see what I'm doing. And if you're interested in that and you model and mirror that, everything's going to work out the way it's supposed to. If you fight that and if you can't just take on the very first step of just being near me and going where I'm going, none of it's going to work. You're going to be carrying all of the burdens that you've been carrying and nothing's going to change. But if you want to do life like I do life, follow. Walk with me, journey with me. And that's still the same invitation that Jesus gives to you and I today. Some of you have been following Christ for a long time. Some of you have actually got this stuff down and you're living life the way that you're supposed to. You're winning. And I am overjoyed that that's the case. Lots of you guys function as models of this kind of life where you don't take on unnecessary things and you really invest in the things that matter. Thank you. We need you. We need people like you. The church does, and culture does, and society at large. Some of us we know God and we know that he wants the best for us, but we struggle taking off some of the burdens that really aren't ours to carry and taking on his. And some of you might be here today and you've never met God. You didn't even know that God was after you, that he wanted you, that he wanted to be near, that he wanted you to follow. And that's the gospel message, is that God is drawing. He wants you. He wants family members to return home. He wants to take off this crazy pace of life. He wants to take off anxiousness and worry about unimportant details. He wants to take off this baggage and shame and embarrassment from the past, from choices that you really made in real time and it really affected you in a profound way. And some of you have been shattered. Some of you have been completely broken by sin. Maybe sin that you chose yourself. Maybe it was sin that someone else chose and it had an effect on you. I don't know. Everyone's experience is different. All I know is that God is a good God. He's a father. And he knows the very best way for you and I to live. And oftentimes we chose something else and it ended up in sin and brokenness and being lost and just being out there doing our own thing. But God is calling. And that shows up differently for different people. Your heart might race. You might feel something on the inside you never felt before. Maybe you just feel a brokenness over sin. It's just different in different people's experience. But the fact of the matter is that God wants to restore you to the person that he built you to be. And all of our hurry and all of our crazy pace of life oftentimes is us making a terrible attempt to become that person? How do I become the real me? How do I become the person I was supposed to be? Slow down and come to Jesus and say, Jesus, I'm guilty of what I'm guilty of. I've done what I've done. I've said what I've said. I've thought what I've thought. And I am who I am. But if you will have me, I will follow. If I can be close to you, I'll go where you go. If I can hear your voice, I will be close enough to hear every word. If I have to forget all of these little details and I just have to sit in silence at your feet so that I can hear your words of love and affirmation over me, I will sit and I will listen and I will shove all of that other stuff off of my plate so that I can hear you and I can know you and I can know what you think of me. And I'll let you rebuild my identity. If that's you, if you're here, whether you've been following Christ for a long time, whether it's your first time stepping foot in a church, it doesn't matter. The answer is the same for everybody. That you give your life, that you give your brokenness, you give the good and the bad to Christ. And that God fills you with his life. He fills you with his spirit and he turns you into a different person, a new creation. And if that's you, I'd invite you to just pray this prayer with me. Just repeat after me. Dear Jesus, it's easy to think of everything else but you. It's easy to hurry and to forget that you want me to sit and listen. I pray that you'd save me. Change my heart. Forgive my sin. I know what I'm guilty of. And I turn away. I turn away from sin. I turn away from darkness. And I'm not proud of my baggage. But I'll trade you. If you'll take mine, it's very heavy. I'll take yours because it's light and it's life. I pray that you save me. In Jesus' name, amen. I'm going to pray for the rest of us real quick. God, thank you so much that you care for us. We know that you've created us to live at a certain pace, to live a certain way. And Father, you operate at the pace of love, at the pace of relationship. And God, oftentimes we let ourselves become so busy and hurried and worried that we're running in every direction at once. And we're worried about every detail except for the thing that matters. And that's the road home. That's our relationship with you. And God, it's easy to get there, but we repent. And Father, we just declare that we want to be near you. We want to be a part of what you're doing. And we want to slow down and say no to the details that distract us so that we can say yes to that very best part, which is being with you and hearing your voice and living the life that you've called us to live. God, we love you and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.